All right, good morning, YouTube, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Business Express here on Smooth Breakfast. We're about to go on air in just a few seconds, so stick with us as we give you the business news. Studio. Smooth 98.1. It is gone past 6:30 for Tuesday morning. This is Business Express, and today it is brought to you by ARM Securities. Now, we're going to be talking about how B2B e-commerce is aiding consumer goods firms. And for that, of course, Rotus is with me. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Shakwe. Good morning to all our listeners out there. And good morning to our special guest from ARM. Good to be with you all.
Yes, and today we are joined once again by Ayodeji Ajilore, who's an analyst with ARM Securities. Ayodeji, how you doing? Good morning. Welcome once more.
I am very well. Thank you for having me again today.
Yeah, great to have you on the show. And of course, we would love to get your contribution. We are streaming live already up on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. You can leave a comment up on the live stream. You can also send your WhatsApp messages in to 0809-440-981. And we do Twitter as well. So make sure you find us at smooth981FM, at ARM Engage, at Rotanquote, and send your messages in using the hashtag BusinessExpress981. All right, so gents, let's get into this.
Thank you, Shokwe. So, Ayodeji, there's a platform called Omnibus that a number of consumer goods firms have been using, I guess, to try and scale distribution or so. What does Omnibus do, and why are a number of firms using that platform?
Oh, okay. Good morning, Rotus. Good morning, Shokwe. Pretty much it is Omnibus, actually. And then, of course, the goal now, like I would say, is more or less like to ease the issues that most especially consumer good firms have had in recent times with distribution, and then, of course, getting to the retail end of their business, such that people who ultimately need these goods are able to get them and not get them in just any way, get them in a form and shape whereby pricing is still very much easy on the retailers in this sense. There are a lot of intermediaries when you look at consumer goods firms, especially in Nigeria, and that is majorly because you see most of these players, right? They seem to be a lot farther from the grassroots that this product eventually ends up in. I mean, look at what could have happened, especially seeing transportation costs in Nigeria, and then how that will impact in this sense now. A good that is a Unilever good, for instance, that might have to find its way to Borno. Of course, these firms have warehouses everywhere, but the fact is there is a different perspective that these smart wholesalers, like I would like to call them, there's a lot of e-commerce firms out there, but that these smart wholesalers bring to the conversation. Now, instead of this continuous transfer of goods among different forms of wholesalers, retailers, and the like before it gets to the final consumer, we now have a kind of movement directly from the producers, which are the consumer good firms, straight to the retailers. And then in the case where it's not straight to the retailers, it's just that particular smart wholesaler alone that is the intermediary within this chain between the producer and the retailer, the final consumer in some cases. So Omnibus is one. We have the likes of Balezo. We have the likes of Sabi. I mean, there are many. And in recent time, I think they've raised in excess of $400 million US. So it's actually an attractive business proposition that investors are already buying into. And what they basically
Okay, so
are doing is take these goods from the producer, manage the distribution channel until it gets to, pretty much.
All right, we lost a bit for there. You kind of timed out, but I think I get what you're saying in that these platforms are being utilized by these companies in order to, I guess, improve the route to market for these consumer goods businesses. But so are you saying that they can't rely on their own distribution channels or set up their own platform? Yeah. That's what we're seeing. It's easier for them to outsource this to these other platforms. Shokwe, can you?
So that
I want
would
to make sure
make
you
it
can.
actually, yes. So that would make it easier for them, I suppose, rather than having to deal direct with. Oh, Ayodeji, so did you get Rotus's question?
Yeah, basically, I couldn't hear you clearly. I pretty much think there's something going up with the network right now. Could you please recap so I can?
So Rotus, quick repeat.
So sorry about that. So I was saying that so you've described all these platforms, Omnibus and so on and so forth, that are making route to market easier for these consumer goods companies, Kellogg's, Unilever, so on and so forth. What I'm asking is, can the companies themselves, they can't rely on their own distribution networks and they can't set up their own platforms as well? It's easier to outsource this to these other companies. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, I mean, the variable overhead that is usually associated, and of course, the fixed overhead that is usually associated with capturing the Nigerian market, like I would like to put it, is really huge in this case. I mean, for instance, even maintaining just independent warehouses alone, and then of course doing some other things alone cost the company a lot of money. I was trying to interrogate that yesterday. I saw some that are selling and distribution expenses. Of course, everything around that, what we're speaking about, is not everything that makes up the selling and distribution expenses in this case. But there are some that have selling and distribution expenses up to 9 billion. We have some that have selling and distribution expense of just about 1 billion, depending on the size of items that they move. So overall, by saving this kind of cost, really, we have been looking at it more from the perspective of how it helps the consumer good firms, right? But by saving this kind of cost also, these producers are able to grant discounts in the real sense to these smart wholesalers, like I would like to put them. And then at the end of the day, what you see is that these people are able to offer this good at a margin and still be able to better the price that is currently obtainable among other form of independent wholesalers in the market. So basically, the point for us that we see in this case is that it's a win-win for every player along the value chain. Let me cite you a very good example, right? These businesses are not just merely moving goods. Like I said, they are smart wholesalers, right? We have also seen instances where these businesses grant working capital facilities to the people, to the retailers they deal with, right? We've seen instances, right, whereby what they had to do is more or less like give a form of economic resource planning, I mean, in terms of software and the like, to these retailers, so much that will help these retailers manage a lot of things, right, that pertains to the economy of what they do. Okay, for instance, I will cite example, the other levels, you're saying, oh, at times you get some store and then you hear, oh, this product is out of stock, right? In this case, they are helping these people manage their store such that these people can get to know. And then even the smart wholesaler by itself, we get the prompt when these people's stock reach the other level. So it is really, really, really a smart one. And that's why I always insist on the concept of smart wholesalers. We've seen e-commerce business come up over time. But what this brings is the fact that it solves the problem of the producer while it's also solving the problem of the retailers. So in one word, you can do e-invoicing, you can get to collect money on their platform. Like for instance, I was interrogating the service of Analyst, and I found that they are building a payment ecosystem. So at the long run, right, they might not, like when OPE came into the market, a lot of people were saying, oh, are they going to use logistics to fund this kind of money they are burning and all of these things? But the point is they were building an ecosystem that will be more valuable over time. So in this case now, most of these smart wholesalers are also building a kind of ecosystem, a payment ecosystem in the real sense. Alezo is working actively. I spoke to people in there and they made it clear that what they were trying to do is build an ecosystem. And then they are also trying, I mean, they have logistics as a business. They are wholesaling as a business. Now they're adding the payment part to the conversation. I was looking at Sabi and I realized that Sabi has been offering working capital support at a low interest rate to the people on their ecosystem. So basically, it's more or less like creating an ecosystem, a smart ecosystem. I mean, like I was saying, it would benefit the producers, and I'm still insisting also that it would benefit the retailers and the final consumer. Now, there's also the concept, the idea that it will eventually benefit the government. We are talking about revenue. We're talking about the government not being able to capture the informal sector like it should be, right? What we have been seeing from within that sector over time is annual returns, just about 2,000 or 2,500 filing for companies that are registered with the CSE. But in the case now, where the government feels the need, right, to capture these people in the informal sector, there is a SABI there. There's an ecosystem built by them. There's a database. There is Alezo. There is Wakoso or Wakazo now. And then there is Omnibus. And I mean, basically, and these companies are not just playing within the Nigerian space. They are also expanding they're penetrating all of the African markets. Like Wakoso now, in their case, they actually are indigenously in Nairobi, a Kenyan company. So what they are doing basically now is trying to penetrate the Nigerian market. And Lezo is more like a Nigerian company. And then what they are trying to do now is to expand to other African markets. And they are making headways into those markets. So basically, I think it's been long overdue, right? The issues of having to make producers worry about how their goods will get to the final consumer. These guys are maintaining the database. They are putting in place smart ERPs that will help retailers to manage their invoicing, manage their client base, manage their product on offer. And then, of course, just-in-time delivery, where goods get to these retailers, instead of, like, for instance, a person in Ibadan will say, oh, I want to go to Agbeni, I want to go to Ogunpa to get these items. A person in Lagos might say, I want to get to Mile 12, I want to get to Oyinbo, I want to get to this place to get these items. Now, they can just sit at the comfort of their stores, and then, of course, at the press of a button, or at times when the reorder level is set, by the time they just impute the last item that needs to be removed from the item in stock, right? For these goods to get, there will be a prompt directly to the smart wholesaler that this person needs to be restocked. So basically, it is quite an interesting one, I would say.
And very quickly, very in-depth answer there. What's the growth? If I do about 30 seconds or so, what is the growth prospect for these companies?
The business has been there for a while. We're just looking for somebody to take it up smartly. And then that's what these companies have done. Don't forget, I mean, consumption expenditure, despite everything, although may not be growing at the level we expect, is still growing in Nigeria, right? So basically, the point is there is a lot of market, there's a lot of leg room to actually prosper. And then what we should probably say is, we hope there are not going to be any regulatory encumbrances along the way. And hopefully there won't be, because the kind of market they play in is the kind of market that is very sensitive to the overall growth prospect of even the country itself.
All right, and on that note, we have to end the show, but guess what? If you've missed out on any part of Business Express, you can always get the replay on youtube.com/smooth981fm. And of course, you can find us on social media. We are at smooth981fm. And if you want to know more about what we've talked about today, find Rotus at Rotancode, and of course, find ARM Securities at ARM Engage. Yes, I'm right.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
Right.
On Twitter. Right. Okay, thank you so
much.
Thanks,
Ayodeji. Thanks, Shokwe.
All right, that is that for Business Express. Goodbye.